experts are facing increased pressure this winter in the face of outbreaks of COVID, the flu, RSV, and norovirus, which they're calling a quademic. So we did the smart thing and packed every beloved entertainer over 60 into one tiny space.
Back now at 7:38 with a little SNL 50 humor. It was a great show, great weekend with some more highlights on that coming up there. Colin highlighting a very serious topic, guys, those winter illnesses.
Yeah, cases of the flu continue to surge nationwide. The CDC reporting nearly 30 million Americans have encountered the virus so far this season, and flu-linked hospitalizations are at the highest levels in 15 years.
Here to break down what the latest numbers reveal and give us some tips for staying healthy is NBC News medical correspondent Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. A, nice to see you. Why is the flu so bad this season? You see the numbers.
I know. The numbers kind of tell the whole story. The explanation is basically two different things. One is that during COVID, lockdowns, masks, all those mitigation measures that helped control COVID also reduced flu levels. It really disrupted the transmission of flu, if you will. So we're seeing numbers that we were more accustomed to seeing pre-pandemic. And then vaccinations tell the other part of the story. Historically, adults in this country usually hover around 50%. We're less than 50%. But if you look at the pediatric flu vaccination rates, that's really kind of a point I'd like to hit home. This year, we're about 46% compared to almost 60% in 2020. We've had 68 pediatric deaths total so far this year. Experts think that's going to beat last year's record of 200. We had 11 just in the last week. So really, my PSA out there, especially caregivers and parents, please get your kids vaccinated. Most of those pediatric deaths are in unvaccinated children.
So how do I know if I've got the flu, if I've got a bad cold, or maybe something like norovirus?
Yes.
What's the difference
here?
So
here's what I always tell people. The flu hits you like a truck. You go from one day to the next with those severe muscle aches and extreme fatigue, fever, sore throat. The cold, you can take over-the-counter medicine and still go to work, and that's mostly upper respiratory symptoms. Norovirus, as we were talking about just before, this is the most common cause of GI illness as well as foodborne illness in the U.S. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, really, really knocks you out also, but mostly GI.
Doc, how do we stay healthy? Stay home?
Yes, just don't go out, Carson. Yes, okay, these pearls, they hold true for all respiratory viruses and especially for flu. And by the way, if you haven't had your flu shot yet, please get your flu shot. We're seeing mostly flu A.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. We're seeing mostly flu A. We often will see a peak of influenza B towards the end of the season. Wipe down surfaces. Hand sanitizer does work for flu, but washing hands frequently. Stay home if you're sick. You want to be fever-free without medication for 24 hours. Certainly wear a mask. And ask your provider about Tamiflu. It's someone in your household test positive for flu, especially if that individual, the person who is exposed, is at risk for high or severe illness. You can actually take Tamiflu prophylactically to prevent getting it.
Dr. A, always good tips.
Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Azar. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.